Welcome to the judging video for the latest weekly midweek car competition here at BOTB. We'll now hand over to this week's lawyer from Onside Law to oversee the judging process.
My name's George Cottle from Onside Law, and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company as is. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and, using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a panel decision.
Good morning. My name's Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee in footballer, and we have our last game of the season this Saturday.
Hi, my name's Renee Hector and I play football for Watford FC Women and I'm a coach for Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
Good morning. My name is Peter Giorgio and I'm a football and futsal referee.
Good morning. My name is Leo Donnellan. I'm an ex-professional football player, having been with Chelsea, Fulham and Leyton Orient.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm a referee, a mentor, tutor and observer.
Hi, my name is Ari Mendonca. I've been involved in football for over 30 years, firstly as a player, then as a referee.
Good morning, my name's Andy Braithwaite and I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
Hi, I'm Jenna Scalacci, former professional footballer. I'm now head coach in a Tottenham College programme.
Good morning, my name is Roger Wheeler. I'm a referee and I've been refereeing and lining for more than 30 years.
Hi, I'm Joe Thompson, former professional footballer, formerly of Tranmere Rovers and Rochdale, and now your BBC radio presenter for Squad Goals.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 10 individual selections.
Thanks very much, George. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
So we got two players in strike. To me, looks like it's going to be a contested header. The player in red and white's got a sort of a grimace on his face. He's looking up at an angle from his forehead, and his arms are both out, ready to draw back. So I think he's sort of in motion from left to right. The player in yellow, I think he's also on the way up. His arms are up and they're tensed. And you can see sort of the shirt line. I think that means he's just starting to his jump, and then he'll pull his arms back again, hopefully to meet the ball. But I personally think that the guy in red and white may be favourite. He looks a little bit more in motion. But I'll draw some lines before I come to you all. We've got a fairly small spread from Leo's here. And a sort of a cluster of us down here just below. And then we've got quite a wide spread from this player in yellow looking up. We'll go through Joe's here slightly to the left. And then we've got Peter ever so slightly out further to the right. Ari, I'll come to you first. I'll magnify yours. Yours is the furthest to the right and ever so slightly the highest. And if I put the magnifier over your selection, how have you seen this and what you think is happening?
Well, I felt that the player in yellow has the prime position for this one. The player in red and white, the reason that he's already in the air, he comes slightly from distance, and he's trying to catch up with his movement. That's why he's slightly higher in the picture, because I think he's the position is not favorable for him. So he's getting there, and he's looking in the direction of the ball. Playing yellow is just in the beginning, exactly as you said. He's in the beginning of his jump. He's already with his one arm actually even protecting the player coming from the side, and I felt that looking for the trajectory of their eye lines, that the ball was slightly farther away.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Andy, you're next to Ari here, a sort of group of three of you that are slightly spread, highlighting yours. How have you seen the picture?
Thanks again, Matt. Yeah, Ari's pretty much got it there, in my opinion. The guy in yellow is about to start his jump. Therefore, I believe that the height of the ball is a little bit further away than your cluster. I've taken quite a lot from the guy in red and white. Is the angle that he's looking up is quite sharp. And again, yes, he is trying to come across the guy in yellow, but as I say, I believe that the ball is just that touch higher, purely for the respect that, you know, if it was any closer, then their body shapes to me would be slightly different.
Yeah, thank you. And on the top group, I'll come to you, Leo, here, magnifying yours. You're ever so slightly the highest of the spread from the guy in red and white. Do you concur, or have you seen anything different?
I slightly differ, Matt. I went a little bit higher because I think the player in red and white, to me, he's looking steeply. So I think he's looking quite high. I think the player in red and white is favourite to win the header. I often say this, but I think if you jump first, you're going to win the header. So if he's above the player in yellow, to me, he's going to win the header. So I would say he's slightly favourite. I've put the ball or my cross just slightly in front of the yellow's eye line. So, you know, with his eye line looking upwards, but a little bit forward. But as I said, I went quite high because, yeah, I think the player in red and white is looking steeply.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Next, Joe, I'll come to you. I've magnified your choice here. You're to the left of the majority of people, but obviously in line, you're in a sort of the same trajectory as the majority, well, nearly all of us really, on this sort of slightly lower line through the white cross. And I'll put the ball on yours. How did you see this?
Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate. Yeah, I have to agree with Leo in that sense. I feel like the player in red and white is favourite, and the reason being that, like, the player in the yellow has got that left arm, as we look at it, trying to protect himself, and like you say, with the trajectory, it's there, and if you do jump first, you do tend to be the winner. So I've gone slightly left of the pack. But yeah, we will see.
Yeah, I mean, do you agree? I mean, I thought that the player in red and white was coming across the picture, you know, powering into the header, and the guy in yellow.
I just feel like he's got the momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other guy's just
like
jumping straight up, isn't he? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's probably a bit more stationary and now having to adapt to where the flight of the ball may be.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Rennie, I'll highlight yours here. You're just below Ari's on the sort of the choice of three of you on the right-hand side. How did you see the picture and what was happening?
Yeah, similarly to what some of the other guys have said, I feel like the player in red and white is actually favourite to win the ball. I feel like the ball and that player are in the foreground, almost closest to us. And the likelihood scenario is that the player in red and white is probably a defending player, a centre-back or something, and the player in yellow is an attacker, and the centre-back's just coming through to try and win the ball. My cross is a little bit higher than most people's, just because purely the player in yellow, as you say, his arms are up, and I feel like he's still got to sort of bend, jump up and bring his arms down. So I feel like the ball's a little bit further away, and it's slightly to the right just because I cross-referenced their eyes also.
No, sure. Thank you. Okay. Peter, you're just below Renee's choice. How have you seen the photo?
Yeah, I've seen it like everybody else has seen it in regards to the yellow player. He's probably the ball's coming into him or across him, but in front of him. And I agree that the player in red and white, he's coming across and blocking the yellow player from jumping. But like Leo said, he's already up there, so that makes him favourite for the ball. And I've cross-referenced the eye lines and the facial expressions and the angle of their heads, and that's where I put the centre of the ball. It's just where just in front of the yellow player on his, as you look at the picture, on his right.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Now I'll come down to this cluster of choices down here. Next to mine, Hugh, I'll magnify yours. You're just to the right of me here, and on the sort of in this sort of small cluster. How did you see the photo and the action and what's happening?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I've got to say I agree. I think the red player's favourite to win it. And kind of for that reason, I put it a bit lower because I think he is getting towards the top of his jump, but also he's going to come across and meet it. So I used the yellow player's eye line, but kind of didn't take the height from him because I think he's going to be second to it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, very very similar, but for that reason, put it that bit lower because I think the red's going to jump kind of diagonally to meet the ball and win it.
Yeah, great, thank you. And Jenna, I've highlighted yours here, magnified it, and I'll put the magnifier over it here. You're just to the right of Hugh and myself. And how did you see the situation?
Similar to Hugh, really. I felt the guy in red and white, he was in the air. He probably at the top of his jump and going to power through to meet the ball. The player in yellow, obviously, like everyone said, he's on the floor. He's got his arm up trying to protect himself. But I do think I've gone lower because I believe the guy in red and white, he's already in the air. So now he's just about to meet the ball. Yeah,
thank you very much. And lastly, Roger, I'll magnify yours. You're sort of the most central of all the choices. And I'll magnify the ball there. How have you seen this photo and what's happening?
Yeah, very much as Jenna and Hugh said. I thought they were quite close to getting the ball, and the yellow guy, I just felt he was caught a little bit flat-footed. He was on the ground and his arms are up because he's sort of straining to take off. But the player in red is already coming in the air, favourite to win the ball, and he's powering through. So it's mainly his eye line for the height that I'm going for.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So the majority of us think that the red player is going to win. There's a couple of people who think the yellow player is going to head the ball. But obviously we've got quite a big spread right to left. And I'd like to look at this yellow player's eyes. And I do think that personally, if I draw another line in, I can't see him looking. I mean, obviously that goes through mine. I think the spread is a little too wide, and certainly too wide with Joe's there. Obviously, the ball, I think, is in front of the yellow player, and I think someone eloquently put it that the head positions, this player's on a slightly different plane looking up to the ball than the player in red and white. So what I will do is I will undo the yellow player's eyes. I will draw this back into here. And then I will redraw the vision up from this player, really through Leo's, and then again up through Peter's. And the quadrant becomes a fairly bit smaller. But if I put the magnifier over this white average, there's quite a lot of people outside the magnifier. So first, I'm going to remove Joe, which brings it more centrally into this quadrant. And as we see, we've got 4 in a main cluster at the bottom, and then 5 that are sort of more spread out at the top. And I think because they're further spread, it sort of skews the average a little bit too far. So if I remove Ari as well, it brings the cluster down. We have sort of Leo's to the left, and we've still got Rene, Andy, and Peters to the right and a bit above, which I think helps to balance it out. And as I said before, I don't think it means that Ari's choice isn't valued. It's just that I believe it skews it a bit too far out as a spread. As you said, with Ari's kept in, he's still not within the magnifier, and it takes this small cluster here of the 4 judges a bit further out. So what I'd like to do is go to a vote to proceed with this with Joe and Ari's removed, and I'll put them back in just quickly. So it does move away from this average a little bit, but it moves enough, I think, to make it a little bit more, I suppose, viable for the players of the competition. It's a tighter cluster than with them kept in. So with that in mind, Rene, if I could have your vote to say to proceed with the 8 choices.
Yeah, I'm happy with the average.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Peter?
I have 50-50 on this one because I'd keep them in.
Okay, that's fine. Leo?
I will keep them in.
Okay. Hugh?
I'd say remove, but not because they're not viable, but just to bring us that bit closer because we are spread out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all this is about, is getting the cluster a little bit tighter than it is. Ari?
I would keep myself in because I felt that we have two clusters over there. We have in this case 4, 5 below and 5 above. I don't see how we can do a preference for 4 below and not include the 5 above. So I would keep everybody.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I would say that all I'd say on that is the 4 below are tight, so it's a cluster.
Yeah, and then you have 5
choice
above.
Yeah,
as well. So I don't see how you can do a preference for 4 below.
Yeah, okay. Let me finish what I'm saying. Is I think it may be a language thing. That is a cluster because they're tight. The choices above aren't a cluster because they're spread. That's the difference.
So in that view, you would have to take the 5 above because you feel that the cluster is tighter and all the other above they wouldn't matter, and I don't feel that.
No, I didn't say they didn't matter. So what I'm saying is that when you have choices that are a bit more spread, it isn't a cluster. It's more spread, and by removing one, the average that's shown on the computer screen moves a few pixels, but it's enough pixels to make it viable. If you add them back in again, the choices and the spread are different.
You are taking preference out of 4 while we have 5 above. That's what I'm saying.
No, you've got 4 above at the moment, 4 below now. So that's a level playing field. What I'm saying is if you have 5 above, especially with a choice of, say, yours, which is slightly above there, it does move it exponentially further to the right because it's further away. That's the explanation I have. But I understand your point.
But my vote would be to
yeah, thank you. I've got that. Andy?
From my own selection, I would keep Aries in.
Okay. Jenna?
I'd keep in.
Okay. Roger?
I would take it out, just leave the 8, which are then all covered by the ball.
Yeah, thank you very much. And lastly, Joe?
Tend to agree with the majority. I would take it out.
Take it out. Okay. Well, interesting. We have a 50-50 split of 5 to keep in and 5 to remove. And as before, as lead judge, I'm going to go with the decision to proceed to judge at this calculated average with both Joe and Ari's selections removed. So George, thank you. After a 5-5 vote and my casting vote, we've decided to proceed with Joe and Ari's choices removed and judge at the average.
Great, thanks very much, Matt. So if you're all happy, please go ahead and click submit. Thanks very much, judges. The coordinates selected are 29811168. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company ASITS to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thanks again.